everybody, it is Trisha Lee, and I'm here with Larry Lever from King Sunshine Solar Systems Incorporated in Alberta, Canada, and we're hosting our nightly I am hosting our nightly hangout on disruptive technology, and tonight we're going to be talking about biofuels, which neither one of us really know that much about, but what I can say is that I'm not a huge supporter of biofuels because I understand that where there's fire, there's carbon monoxide, which is a known carcinogen and a poison, so I'm not big on the burning of any materials when I think that there are better ways to meet our energy requirements that don't necessitate the combustion process, which is very, very destructive. And up here in Alberta, we actually just had a wonderful, wonderful rainstorm, which actually relieved some issues that we were having with forest fires. So, which of course, when a forest burns down, that's a pretty good example of a biofuel, because except for there's technology now where they take organic material like the forest and I think they chemically process it to make something more similar to gasoline. However, basically my understanding of it, and Larry can share a little bit more in depth, I believe, but my understanding of biofuel is any organic material burning that isn't made from a chemical process like gasoline and oil refinement, like I believe ethanol, which is made from corn. Obviously corn is an organic material. Ethanol is a biofuel, and Larry's going to tell us a little bit more about biofuels and give us some more examples besides ethanol and the forest burning down. So can you tell us some more about biofuel, Larry?
Well, I think you covered a lot of it that I was going to say. So let's wrap it up. No, I'm just kidding. I think once again, I agree with you 100% on the burning of anything as a source of fuel. I think our society has biofuels available to us, and we also have hydrocarbons still available for us, fossil fuels. The whole point, excuse me, the whole point of the matter is, I think with disruptive technology, would biofuels really be a disruptive technology, or are they just an additive to what we're already doing? And I think that, I don't know about you, Trish, but for me, when I heard biofuels and I started looking into it, I didn't have a good feeling as I get when I think of the wind and I think of the sun as far as forms of energy. And I think like you hit the... Pardon?
Well, there's no doubt that biofuels are not exactly a green technology. I don't know if you'd be able to call them that, but I think that the oil field and the refineries where they make the gasoline, I think would probably say that biofuels are very much a disruptive technology, because I know that certain gas stations, at least around here in Alberta, I think even they have changed their formula of the gas at the pump to be blended with ethanol and these other fuel sources. So I'm sure that that's got to cut into some of the profits that are usually found at the oil refineries. And so I think that probably they would consider the biofuels as very disruptive, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I think you're right there. I always tend to think a little bit differently about it when we start talking about it. And you're right, and in regards, and the reason is because King Sunshine Solar Systems is just that we're so focused on solar that everything, for me, I'm a little bit biased because I've worked with it for so long. And so, yeah, when I thought of biodiesel as being disruptive, I guess you're right. When they start adding it to other things, and using stuff like um, vegetable oil to actually make fuel, it is, yeah, that way it's a totally disruptive technology. Biofuels are really unique the way they're harvested. So I don't know if they cause as much environment or have a big environmental impact when it comes to harvesting biofuels. I know there's a whole schwack of grains that actually are used for making biofuel. And I was really surprised when I started going through the list as to what sort of seeds are used for making biofuels. Like it's really, I always thought, well, canola oil, and however, there's like biodiesel. It's the most common biofuel in Europe, and it's produced from oils and fats and stuff like that. And but the feedstocks for biodiesel, also include stuff like soy, canola, of course, mustard, flax, sunflower, even palm oil and hemp, and algae. And so there's like a whole bunch of really earthy kind of plants that.
Well, there's no doubt about it that the biofuels are definitely a lot better for the environment than the petroleum-based gasoline and diesels that we use now in that regards, because of course all these things that you mentioned, mustard seed and corn and all those types of materials are renewable resources, whereas they talk a lot about the fossil fuels are non-renewable resources, which means that we should use them responsibly. However, I don't necessarily agree that it's very responsible to be burning any fuels in order to meet our energy requirements. I think that technology has begun and will continue to replace the destructive burning of any materials to be able to meet our energy requirements. However, I do see like there's ability to use some products that otherwise would have a disposal issue. It's convenient burning them, however, it's still polluting. But like I think of the examples of the used oil burners. I used to work in a shop where they had a heating system for keeping the workspace heated and comfortable that used oil from used oil from doing oil changes and scheduled maintenance on trucks and equipment that came into the shop. The used oil would go into this burner, and so it was a free fuel because, of course, usually you have to pay to have someone dispose of used oil when you do an oil change. But if you're burning it for heat, and I don't actually think that was regulation. Like, I'm pretty sure that if the city knew that he had cut off his natural gas supply and was burning that used oil, he probably would have not got a fine or something, I think. Or maybe back then it was okay. This was quite a while ago. But anyway, another example that I was thinking of while you were speaking, Larry, was I know I've known of a couple people that have made some modifications to their diesel engines on smaller cars like Volkswagens to be able to burn used deep fat fry oil from fast food restaurants or restaurants in general, where they have the oil that they cook the French fries in, and then after they've cooked so many French fries, it becomes dirty. And normally the restaurants would have to pay to have a company come and clean up all that used oil and take it away off the property. They would have to pay to have it disposed of, and they were just giving it to these kids that I knew would put it into their car and drive around. It was kind of funny. The one guy, we called him Tempura Boy because he smelled like fish sticks. But but yeah, their car smelled like, you know, burnt like French fry, deep fried oil. So that's those are both biofuels. However, once you pour that into your car and burn it, it still exhausts, just like if you were burning gasoline. But it's I'm not too sure what the process is for getting rid of that oil. I think they recycle it somehow. I don't think they burn it. Larry, do you know anything about what they normally do for oil? Like, say this guy, instead of burning the oil for heat, once he took it out of the trucks, how is it disposed of? Do you know anything about that?
You know, I've actually purchased used oil, or they call it re-recycled oil, where they actually re-refine oil, and they once again they somehow in the process of refining, they can take used oil and pull out what's still usable from the oil, used oil. So I imagine when your oil gets all black and scuzzy on the inside of your car, it's only black and scuzzy because of some things that have kind of fallen into the oil, kind of like when you have your Kool-Aid pitcher in your fridge and something falls in from the shelf above it, kind of thing. Some, I don't know, whatever, some kind of powdery thing or breadcrumbs. You got to dump it out, but it doesn't mean the Kool-Aid was all bad. So I think with oil, it's virtually the same thing. They can actually, because it's been refined once, they can actually re-refine it, take out the stuff that is not usable, and then, you know, sell the usable oil again as if it's new oil. But they don't call it new oil. They call it I think they called it re-refined.
So it sounds like, from an environmental standpoint, it sounds like it would actually be better for the environment to just take that oil and have it be recycled and reused as a lubricant than to burn it for heating. Kind of what it sounds like.
Yeah, you know, but you can still, I'm in agreement with that 100%. You know, look, don't burn the stuff. I think, like I was saying, when they re-refine the oil, they're taking stuff that's I don't know what the black stuff is in my oil in my car, but I imagine it's some kind of powdery carbon that they can refine out of the oil. So like I said, you can reuse the oil again in your car, which, you know, is kind of a great thing, because it kind of brings to mind the electric car, how the electric car, or even the NASA Stirling motor automobile, ran on biofuels, like all sorts of different biofuels. However, none of the oil in the process got dirty, because it wasn't seeing the internal combustion that happened. So I got a funny feeling that there is. Do you think it's possible to actually burn something and not produce pollution?
What I was taught in chemistry is that in any combustion cycle, there's always carbon monoxide, which is poisonous, which is what I don't understand about carbon dioxide, and how people talk about carbon credits, and there's this whole crazy government marketplace for carbon offsets and stuff. I totally don't understand that, because whenever the combustion cycle goes through, I don't think there's any carbon dioxide involved in that formula. It is carbon monoxide, which is always present where there's fire, and which is always poisonous and a carcinogen. That's like, it's the chemical that when you are in your garage with the motor running that kills you. That's carbon monoxide, and it's poisonous, and it's always present from what I can remember from chemistry and what I believe to be true, that it's always present where there's combustion of anything. It doesn't matter what you burn. There will be the other the other chemicals and nastiness that's present in the smoke of a fire could vary depending on the fuel, but there will be carbon monoxide present, from what I understand.
Yeah, they must be pretty similar molecule structures, because carbon dioxide would be 2 oxygen atoms for every carbon, and carbon monoxide would be, of course, 1 carbon and 1 oxygen. So they're probably, I bet you, both are coming out of your exhaust pipe. You know, it's probably a combination.
I suppose. I don't know that much about it, but
I'm sure that's probably available. That information's available on the internet.
I think I do know that some of the other nasty chemicals, certain biofuels definitely have. I think they burn at a higher temperature, so they have less exhaust. Is that right, or something like that?
Well, the Stirling engine that NASA was using in their vehicle, burning all sorts of fuels, the exhaust coming out of it was like cool, and I don't remember seeing any kind of smoke coming out of it, so I'm not sure how it works. I think it's different, probably for each vehicle. You know, that's you have your catalytic converter that gets a lot of particulates out of it, but as far as what's the whole mixture coming out of exhaust.
Can you talk a little bit about methane, because I believe that there are some farmers and stuff that are putting together these methane breeders, which is creating more fuel to burn, and it is, I do believe, it's a biofuel. However, once again, we have run into the issue of the pollution caused by burning. But do you know anything about the methane breeders that they're building?
Methane breather? I don't think I've ever heard of them.
Like the big biofuel plants, they're called methane breeders, where I believe they're putting manure together and making biofuel.
I don't know. I think I might have lost you on the signal. Can you still hear me? Hello? Hello? Okay. I think I got disconnected here. But I'm not sure what a methane breather is, if that's what you're saying. Can you hear me, Trish?
Methane breeder, Larry. It's a big biofuel factory or something. You're the one that told me about it. Some little noise. You don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay. I'd probably have to look that one up. However, as we were talking about diesels, or what's coming out of your exhaust system, there are and just looking at some of the compounds and trace elements that come out of your exhaust pipe, and you had mentioned carbon monoxide. That's one of the poisonous ones, but believe it or not, there's way more carbon than carbon dioxide, as well as nitrogen coming out, actually more than oxygen. There's actually oxygen coming out of your car. The parts more than carbon monoxide. But yeah, I would have to do some research on that, because even if I did tell you what that was, I don't remember it, because information just sometimes goes in one ear out the other. But getting back onto the biodiesel or biofuels, I think the biodiesel is probably the most popular one that's available to the public. And like you say, ethanol added to gasolines is displacing a lot of the gasoline. So those are good things, but yeah, like you say, it's a disruptive technology. However, it's just to me getting back to the same thing. It doesn't seem that green or clean tech, whereas sometimes it gets in that discussion. So it's disruptive technology. So, but I think we're not talking, or we're definitely not talking about something that's good for the environment. And you know, it kind of makes me wonder when we are pulling hydrocarbons out of the ground, you know, the way they're used to, you know, with gushers and stuff. When that is under control, I think it's pretty clean. Like it's not really a messy thing. So how do you think that balances out with the biodiesel production or the biofuel production? Do you think one's dirtier than the other?
Um, I don't know. I think they're kind of the same, but like what I understand with these methane breeders is they like gather up, you know, a bunch of manure and basically waste material, and then they bury it underground, and then it releases methane gas, and they collect that. And so I think they're using it in some big agriculture places, like big animal farms or something like that. I don't know. I thought you were the one telling me about it, but I could be mistaken. I might have heard about it somewhere else. But I believe they're making biofuels. I thought it was more for like what they use the natural gas for home heating. I don't think it was for like running equipment or uh, driving your car kind of thing. But I know that there's a book called Alcohol Can Be a Gas by, I believe it's David Bloom, and he advocates for using alcohol as a fuel, and apparently that is a lot more is a lot better for the environment because it is renewable resource, and alcohol is a really clean burning fuel. However,
Totally clean.
there's still a burn factor there, but he is on the right track, so I highly recommend that you check out. It's either Michael or David. I think it's David Bloom. David Bloom, Alcohol Can Be a Gas. Did you have any more information to share about using alcohol as a gas? I believe that the corn ethanol is alcohol fuel, but they blend it with gasoline, and I think that there's cleaner burning alcohol than the ethanol or something. Do you know
Well, I
much
think,
about that?
you know, I always look at what's safe, right? And where we do use gases, you know, we have propane heaters and stuff like that are generally safe. Um, what's another one? Kerosene has been used a lot. Um, as far as how alcohol burns, I'm pretty sure alcohol burns super clean. I don't know if it's cleaner than ethanol or which one's cleaner. I'd have to do some research on that. But I think those two are pretty good. The nice thing about alcohol is that what it does when you do use it for combustion, it's like a super hot, highly flammable fuel. So it's always been, I think it's always been an issue of using something like that in a vehicle. I always think of alcohol fueled dragsters when I think of alcohol fuel, and you know how fast those things go, man. You put alcohol in your gas tank, and whoopee, you gotta hang on to your steering wheel pretty tight. And it's hard on the engine, and I don't think it's hard on the engine because of the way it burns. I think it's hard on the engine because it gets so hot. So it's more of a hot burning thing. So if they can, I think as far as biofuels go, would it be safe to agree that if they could take hydrocarbons and add all these clean biofuels to them for now, you know, until we figure out how to, for example, fly aircraft with a really clean burning fuel, you know, something that kind of has always gnawed on my mind, like chewed away at my skull, was that oxygen is a very, very flammable, explosive element when it's in a liquid state. Because I remember when I was working at the Alberta's Research Council as a student, they evacuated half the building because one of their experiments created like a basin full of liquid oxygen, and they had to evacuate half the building while this thing vented out into the atmosphere. So oxygen, I think, is a lot. Oxygen liquid is way easier to contain than hydrogen, because I think hydrogen is a really small atom. So if they could figure out how to mix these things into a hydrocarbon fuel and bring the hydrocarbons down to almost nothing, do you think that would be a better? I know it's still burning stuff, and because we're talking about biofuels, would be better than just burning hydrocarbons?
Yeah, I definitely think that it is probably better. Like anything that's a renewable resource, obviously, is going to be easier for the planet to replenish and stuff. However, we have seen issues with other renewable resources, such as within the logging industry and the fishing industry, as examples where using, or I guess not using, but the overuse of those resources has sometimes actually caused more trouble to the environment than some of the other ways.
Yeah, that would make sense. It's really tough to look at biofuel as disruptive technology, because it's not really a technology that I want to see be disruptive. I'd rather have it be totally dormant. And if we could focus on wind and solar and electricity, the way we're able to produce electricity right now as a fuel, you can pretty much use electricity for everything. And I think I might have frozen up here. I am just going to check really quickly. Bear with me.
I like having you think, Grandma. I've been in my jammies all day long.
We're both. Looks like we might have both been cut off. So I will. Strange internet connection here. I had to actually restart and get my Google plugin to fire up again. I'm not sure what the reason for that is. But since I'm still on, I'll be waiting for Trish to join us again. What I will say, to continue on with what I was saying about the biodiesel, is if I would like to see it as a disruptive technology, but really, really in the background. Because, like Trish was saying, and I was agreeing with her, is that if we're going to be burning anything, it's going to create the pollution that we don't really need. I think there's evidence of things that have happened in history with how we've gotten ourselves into trouble by burning stuff. Burning coal, burning oil, burning kerosene, burning forests. Like forests, man, when forest burns, they're when a forest burns, sometimes I've heard it's good for the forest. I don't really believe that. I'm not sure if that's an old wives' tale or something. But when it comes to burning stuff, I don't think it's a good thing at all for the Earth's atmosphere. Maybe a chemist or someone with the educational background could really really expand on that. However, I think when we're talking about biofuel as a disruptive technology, it should be used. If we're going to use biofuel, it should only be used in areas or in applications, I should say, where solar, wind, electricity, battery storage, all the actual clean techs will not work. And I think if we can focus on that and use biofuels and different types of hydrocarbons only in applications where we really, really need to burn something until we can figure out how we can avoid burning something. Yeah, let's only use biofuels and our fossil fuels strictly for those purposes. Anything else, like we know, Tesla has proven it. It's a proven fact that you do not have to burn hydrocarbons to run around town in a vehicle, to go down the highway in a car. You do not have to burn anything at all. Their cars have been charged through solar power, which powers their engines, and they have these charging stations that they're building, and I know King Sunshine Solar Systems is going to be a huge part of this electrified vehicle market because of what our technology has proven to do. So it has been proven that for transportation, we do not have to be burning any kind of biofuel or any kind of hydrocarbon. Would you agree with that, Trish?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we want to avoid burning things wherever possible. However, it's easier said than done. You have to take small steps. If you can just do simple things like taking the bus or riding your bike, if it's weather permitting, and maybe carpooling. There's a lot of small, simple things that people can do while waiting for the new disruptive technology to replace what is available to us for transportation options and other energy requirements and needs.
Mom.
Oh, did we lose Larry? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I hope I'm still here. Yeah, so I agree as well, and I think that it's only going to take some time. It's a little hard for people to accept that we've gone this far. That yeah, we can be using electricity and solar power for a lot more things than we're using it for. And these are solar, as we've been discussing throughout this entire series. Solar, we keep coming back to solar power as apparently it seems to be the greatest thing going. It's I was just talking to my father-in-law a while ago, talking to him how we have this thing that comes up every morning and it's burning in the sky. Nobody here set it on fire. It's providing us all with all this energy, and we're hardly using any of it. And so I think I can still see it, Trish. You're just gonna zoom in there. It's kind of like Dr. Tung's House of Pancakes. I don't know if you remember that. That's STV. That's going back a few years of John Candy. Anyways, yeah. So I think that the way I feel about biofuel, I understand it's a disruptive technology, and I really think it should stay more. It should be in the shadows, kind of the way solar power is right now. I'm so looking forward to the day when people are afraid to talk about hydrocarbons or biofuels, and they're just, oh man, you got to see my solar powered, the new battery I got from my electric car, man, it'll blow your mind. I can outrace anybody. You know, that's how I want to hear people talking really soon. And I see I think it's really close. You know, so what else can we say about
Yeah,
biofuel?
as I always am feeling almost moment by moment living in this world. It's an amazing time to be alive. There's like so many awesome changes that are happening, and
Totally.
it's becoming a better place every day.
Being part of it is really exciting as well. I think people probably don't know. I don't think we've discussed it a lot in this hangout. Is how we actually got into the solar industry, about buying solar panels and from a department store, and seeing that they hardly put out any power, and we figured we needed a whole bunch of them in order to power the place that we were building. And so that's how we got into the solar power industry. As I think we said we talked about it. We said, well, I think we can do better than what's available. So let's try it. And then, yeah, like 6 years later, here we are. We're actually in a business that is so exciting to be in, because we're getting to see these changes firsthand happening with biodiesels, with I think even when we started working with solar, I think there was a lot less wind generators in Pincher Creek in Alberta and Crowley Ridge, and so it's nice to see that's growing like crazy. Bullfrog, I think it's Bullfrog Power, providing a whole bunch of alternative energy, and lots of activity going on in Saskatchewan. I just heard today, I just got another email about, just to stay on this PV topic again for a little bit more on the importance of solar, is that America has, I think they just recently, here, let me just check my, it's really kind of exciting, this recent news story, if I can get it to open. Of course, it's frozen. Here we go. In the United States, they have gone to, we were talking about this last night, the United States have actually increased the amount of utility-type solar power by 30% in the first part of this year. And that's pretty impressive for the Americans to actually start. Well, like I say, as we're being part of this whole new change in solar, but to see so much growth in the United States compared to when we got started, there wasn't much growth at all. And so I think they're, yeah, a third. It says utility scale. It's a third of new U.S. electrical capacity for the first half of 2014. 1/3 of all the United States new electrical capacity. That's pretty impressive, you know. And I think they're not talking about that with biodiesel. So I got a funny feeling the politicians might be getting it. They might be starting to get it, you know. And we can only pray that it continues. You know, I'm sure Barack Obama has been. We all know how big of how hugely he's been involved with this whole movement in the United States. And I know we're going to be meeting with him someday while he's in the presidency and talking about what we're doing and how we can help, how our technology can help North America. Because that's, after all, you know, our solar technology is, we're bringing it to the market solely because it has to be done. That's why we're doing it. It just has to be done. It's more than the value any dollar amount you can actually put on it. So, and that's pretty much the whole the whole way I see the picture on biofuel is that, yeah, it should just, to reiterate, I'd like to see biofuel becoming less and less a news item. What was that flash? You're still there? There's a big flash on your screen. Anyways, did you have anything else to add about biofuel? I think we're kind of exhausting. We might be starting to exhaust the topic. I keep trying to find new things to talk about with biofuel, but I think what it boils down to is that it's very it's also in its infancy. However, if we can use the biofuels and not burn them, hey, bring those babies right up front row for that sort of technology. But if we're going to be burning biofuels, yeah, let's keep that back in the shadows. I don't think we have to burn biofuels.
Yeah, definitely a lot of these topics we'll have to touch on again. I'm not so sure about how much we'll revisit this biofuel thing because, yeah, hopefully it's shrinking away because, yeah, we definitely want to eliminate the idea of destructive burning of anything. It's really, there's so many better, cleaner ways, but there's this, I think this nostalgia that people have, especially I notice with friends and stuff that are kind of what they call gearheads, or where they're very interested in like race cars and high performance, and the argument that they make, which is I think partially towards biofuels, but more against the or I guess it's a lot of the reason why biofuels have developed instead of people just saying, oh, well, let's just go straight with electricity, is people are trying to hold on to the high performance vehicles and stuff, and so they are able to get that with some of the biofuels and be able to say, oh, well, it's a little bit better for the environment. However, I think it's a little naive to think that it's okay and balances out to be able to I don't know. I have a hard time with it because I do kind of understand why people are passionate about racing and stuff, but at the same time it feels very wasteful of a very valuable resource just in order to prove who's got the fastest, shiniest wheels kind of thing. However, it's a very, very prevalent culture, at least here in North America, for people to enjoy motorsports in a big way, and it's a big amount of fossil fuel resource that is used up that way each and every year. And I think
that could stay there.
What?
I think that could stay that way, though, because even with electrical vehicles, the trick is to, rather than to be juicing up your carburetor or whatever they do, souping up your vehicle, you have to figure out a way to soup it up electrically.
Yeah, but until they're able to figure that out, a lot of people want to cling to the fossil fuels. And so I think the reason the biofuels have come about as a disruptive technology, replacing some of the fossil fuels, is because of people clinging to the need to burn something to hear that loud engine. Because even though you can soup up an electrical car maybe to go faster and be better, it doesn't have that sound or smell that people kind of go a little gaga for. That's kind of what I was referring to. So I think that's why biofuels have really caught a lot more attention and got a lot more support, is because it's a little less threatening. Like, it's not changing a way of life for some people so drastically, but to these people, like, souping up an electric car has no appeal because there's not that sound and smell that is part of the appeal.
I think if you could propel an electrical shock out of the back of the car, you know, high voltage, man. That's pretty impressive, and it does have that stinky ozone smell. If you get a kick out of a big lightning bolt, that would be doable. Be a bit of a power drain, but it'd be exciting.
I don't really have anything to add on biofuel, really. I do see it as a disruptive technology, and that of course you always want to strive for progress, not perfection, and definitely there's progress in using a renewable resource as compared to non-renewable resources like fossil fuels. However, I still object to the burning of anything, really. Mind you, at the same time, you know, there's there's something to be said for the enjoyment of like a fireplace or a campfire, but you know, that creates pollution too. So like, you know, it's a nice thing to have, but if everybody has one, then there's like so much resources being used up and so much pollution being created. And so it's just everybody has to do their small part in reducing. And I think that biofuels are doing a small part. However, I think that they're moving forward. There is more progressive disruptive technologies that can fulfill our energy needs in more powerful ways, with less destruction and less pollution created from it.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head there. Something that we didn't even talk about is because we have so many more people on the planet. Yeah, you know, 1,000 years, everybody could have a frickin' fireplace because, you know, that's the way you're going to stay warm. But we have way more people on the planet, and if everybody was to be burning stuff, you know, sitting around a campfire every day to stay warm, it would just be bananas. We'd just be choking. We'd probably be dead by now. Thank goodness for some of the new technologies, like I'm pretty sure burning wood is actually much dirtier than burning gas. And so it's a very good point that you make, because I also think about it. It just made it click about China. Remember what we were talking about China and how they went from a bicycle-based transportation society and electrical vehicles, and then when the industry boom caught on and all the Western technologies and manufacturing facilities went over to China, and they're still over there producing stuff, all of a sudden people of China started driving more and more cars. And what happened? Now they're choking. They're choking like China has become like a giant California of the 60s and 70s, where the smog is so bad, you can't go outside. And that it was never that way in China prior to 50 years ago. Never. They never had a problem. So if that isn't a learning experience, what is? Da 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 da.
Yeah, definitely. Here in North America, like it doesn't. It's still, after all these years, we've been able to use the internal combustion engine and have all that exhaust float around for years and years and years, and we could probably continue to go on doing so for years and years and years and not really see an effect like that because of our sparse population. But yeah, when you have a population like Asia does, wow. I remember flying over Asia at nighttime, and I was amazed because I'm not sure exactly how their lighting system works, but they had much dimmer lights, but way, 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 way more than what you see in North America, American night sky flying, and like so much more densely populated. Just from looking down, it was like every square inch of the island of Taiwan seemed to be covered in lights. Like I was looking at the map and looking out the window at the lights, and pretty much every square inch of in the shape of the island on the map was covered in lights. It's amazing. It's amazingly wildly populated. So you get a bunch of people running around cars there. Yeah, there's maybe breathing troubles.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge population there.
Well, and the thing is, I think weather patterns play a big part in pollution. If you're on an island in the middle of the ocean, more than likely the wind is going to carry the pollution out over the ocean, and then the heavy particles will basically fall down onto the ocean. Whereas it's an interesting study where does pollution go in a place like Winnipeg or Minnesota in the center of the North America? Where does the pollution go? I think a lot of it probably lands on the ground. Then it gets kicked up in the atmosphere by the sun. I don't know. It's an interesting question. But yeah, the population plays a huge part. And I think that's why it's so exciting for us, because there's a much that makes sense. You know what I was just imagining what you were saying about flying over to Taiwan, and I could just see, yeah, this is the kind of place that wants, our solar technology. This is where they need it, Whereas North America is still not very populated. How many people
it's very sparsely populated, so we don't see the problem. We're not faced with it on a regular basis because there's no smog accumulation really anywhere significantly in Canada, especially. I know in Ontario they had some issues with the acid rain like years ago, but they cleaned that up, and then yeah, there's not a huge motivation to deal with pollution because it's not always up close and personal. Like you can go to our cities and still breathe. Although, walking on a city street in Canada, you do smell the exhaust, but it's not like you have to wear a mask or choking on it. So you can pretty easily take a few steps back and get out of it to a clean breathing space. So it's not as compounded of a problem here at all. But it's getting close to my bedtime. I got a big day tomorrow with horses. So did you have any closing thoughts, Larry?
I would say just to reiterate, I think probably a fourth time, I just really be happy for biofuels to stay in the shadows until stay in the shadows unless there is a way of using them where they don't have to be burned. And that would go for any disruptive technology that has to be burned. Should really today in the 21st century, that technology should no longer be disruptive. It should be in the closet and hidden away until we actually really have to use it.
Yeah, all in due time. Yeah, certainly. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. We're going to be discussing robotics as a disruptive technology, and
advanced robotics.
Yeah, advanced robotics. There we go. Let's be all technical now. So yeah, we've got some cool ideas for where we would like to take robotics within our business, and use the advanced robotics for some interesting recycling stuff. So we did a hangout a while back about using old technology for a recycling company, and we also have some ideas of new advanced robotics disruptive technology to make some big changes out there. So join us tomorrow and hear all about our ideas on that disruptive technology. And thanks so much for watching. And
peace.
And if I don't see you in the future, I will see you in the pasture tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. That's where I'll be. And I just want everybody to know that I am a firm believer that we can all be, do, and have anything we want, or we can have everything we want. And I'm choosing everything, and I hope that you will too, because you can. So let's do it. Bye, Larry.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.